I love that game manga. They very often are stupid, trashy, and over the top, but they are almost always very fun. More recently though, I've been coming across non-deadly that game manga. You could call these just game manga, but I won't, because that's stupid. But titles like Kaiji, for example, where the danger of losing may not necessarily be death, but it's so bad it might as well be. This is the kind of manga that our final sports manga of the batch, and our final manga overall of this batch, falls into. Ping Pong Peril. Yes, we had a peril at the end, so it doesn't get confused with the Taiyo Matsumoto manga Ping Pong, but if you're curious, the title of that manga in Japan is actually Ping Pong, while the title of this one is Pingu Pongu. So it's not really the same, but it doesn't really matter though, so let's actually just talk about the manga. The synopsis is going to be extra short today because the bulk of this chapter is the game, but it follows an ex-ping pong player and current owner of a massive debt inherited from his father, Taira Mikado. The story starts with a debt collector aggressively trying to take Taira's sister in order to sell her off to pay the debt of 1 billion yen. Obviously Taira isn't cool with that idea at all and tries to help his sister, but the help actually comes in form of another girl, at least I think it's a girl, that walks into her house and stops the fight. She offers Sarah a solution to pay the debt, and the only thing that he has to do is to play ping pong. Ping Pong Peril, that is. She brings him to the highest level of a pretty fancy hotel, and in that room is a golden ping pong table, and in here he has to play a game of ping pong. There's no disqualification. First to win 10 points wins the game, and if you win the game you get 2 million yen, but if you lose you add 1 million yen to your debt. His opponent, well, it just so happens to be the debt collector of earlier. The rest of the chapter is just the ping pong game. While Tara is the most skilled player of the two, the debt collector has the home advantage as he knows how to use the room and the table. He knows how to handle the brightness of the room while Tara doesn't, and he actually knows how to use the ball's friction to literally set the table ablaze. But Tara is talented enough to play with his eyes closed, and is reckless enough to just don't care at all if his arms get caught in the fire, so he ends up winning anyways. And that's where the chapter ends. It doesn't really do much in terms of story, but it has a simple enough plot that I don't think it really matters. Man needs money, man plays insane games of ping pong to win money. That's it. Plus, I think it is a good idea to focus mostly on the game itself. Very often sports manga, especially team sports, have to do a ton of setup to develop the characters, set up the teams, rivals, and explain why their manga is different from all the other 30 or 40 baseball manga that you read before. And sometimes this can actually work to the detriment of the manga and kill it before it even gets to have a proper match. Not Ping Pong Peril, fuck all that. You're here for the ping pong table that sets on fire, and that's what we're gonna give you right from the get-go. Now, on one hand, because I love that game manga, I will always gonna be biased towards this manga, but on the other hand, I probably have read more that game manga than most people, or at least the average, and I've also seen the best and the worst that genre has to offer and everything in between, and on the grand scale of things, this is definitely more on the positive side, at least based on this chapter 1 alone. That said, I think Ping Pong Peril is already kinda doomed to be compared with titles like Kaiji or Squid Game, especially the former, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Kaiji is amazing, and I think it might actually get people to look into Ping Pong Peril that may normally not read Weekly Shonen Jump manga, and so have a new audience, and that may work in favor to the manga. The manga itself is very different from Kaiji. I don't think it really feels like a clone, but it is similar in some aspects. So in that aspect, I think it might help in the same way that the comparisons with One Punch Man helped Mashal the beginning, for example. This is also unique enough to compare to the rest of the sports series that we got, in the sense that this is clearly like over the top and insane. What we need from it, though, moving forward, is just to lean more into that. We've seen the golden table that sets on fire. That's cool. Now, give us something else. Make them play on a glass table, make them play in a dark room, make them play with balls that have spikes in them. I want every match to be insane and exciting and unique. Don't settle, and I think there's something in here. Obviously, this manga is not going to be able to be an edgy gore fest as some of the others in the genre, nor do I necessarily think it needs to be. I don't expect to see people die left and right or anything like that. It's a Shonen Jump manga, but I still think you can have fun with the concept, and I want the mangaka to have fun with the concept. Now, another manga that it's going to be likely compared a lot to is Blue Lock, whose writer has written some of my favorite that game manga, and he brings the same vibe to a cleaner, sports-focused manga. But with Blue Lock being the most popular manga in the genre right now, and with the concept being still pretty unique, I think there's still space for it to be adapted and morphed into other sports and not be tiresome or, you know, it's not a saturated market is what I mean, at least not right now. That said, do I think that series will survive? Probably not. Honestly, I don't care. I'm just happy it is even here. I'm happy it got a chance to exist, because I needed this. I need this series, and even if it's only for 18 chapters. Here's the thing. Pure sports manga in Weekly Shonen Jump have statistically been the worst performing genre this decade, with a grand total of a 0% chance of success. 0 titles. Now, that's likely why we got the 3 new series this batch. And I told you in the previous videos that I was going to wait until I read all 3 of them to let you know which ones that I think would survive. And now that they're all here, I still think it's Sarukaze Mound. People have clearly been loving it so far, and it has an overall just better execution, I think. It also much bigger mainstream appeal than Ping Pong Peril. The incentive of Ping Pong Peril is very fun, but the audience for a manga like that in Weekly Shonen Jump is far smaller, I think. If it survives, I think it's really going to be on the piggyback of people looking for new titles like Blue Lock or Kaiji. But with both of them still being ongoing right now, and Kaiji having a fanbase that doesn't necessarily care to read much of Jump stuff, I am not 100% certain that that's going to be enough to save it. We'll have to wait and see. For now, that's all that Jump has to offer. If you want to see my first thoughts on the previous manga in this batch, click the playlist on the left. If you want to know my first thoughts wherever there is a new batch, then subscribe. And if you watched till here, thank you very much, and I'll see you next video.